Yeah, hey everybody, this is Mayank Batavia again, and I'm so happy to be talking to another freelance writer, Nidhi Pathak. Hi Nidhi, how are you doing today?
Hi Mayank, I'm good. How are you? How's
I'm,
everything at your end?
I'm good too, and thank you so much for your time here. Nidhi, before we start talking about your writing journey and everything, we would want to learn a little more about Nidhi Pathak outside of writing.
Okay. All right. So just to begin with, I belong to a very small town called Dehradun from Uttarakhand, up in the Himalayas, and I did my schooling and my college education from there. And after that, I started working as a in the corporate world and started working as a communications professional for a very long time. I have over a decade long experience as a communications professional, particularly in the CSR field. And yeah, and meanwhile, within the span from 2007 to 2020, I got married. I have a lovely daughter. I love cooking. I'm a huge fan of yoga, and I just want to travel solo whenever I get a chance. I did that, I think, in 2018, but I want to do that more. So
My
that's about me.
solo is, I'm sure it's a dream of a lot of people, and I'm sure you are fortunate to have actually realized that dream. That sounds wonderful. Great.
Thank you.
So, tell us something about how did you begin writing and how did you get into it?
So writing Mayank, it was very natural to me because as a child, I always felt the comfort in writing. I was an introvert child and I always liked expressing myself more through words. So I used to, in fact, my friends used to mock me because on their birthdays, I used to prepare small cards and write a small poem for them and all that. They used to make a lot of fun of me. And then so that is something which came very naturally to me. And I used to read a lot. Even as a child, though I was never exposed to the literary world, but wherever I got a chance, I used to read a lot. But unfortunately, our education system was at that point was such, and perhaps also because of our limited understanding, we never thought that writing could be a career option at all when we were growing up.
Very true.
So just like, the herd mentality, everyone's doing MBA, you also do MBA and all that stuff. And I realized eventually after I got my first job that, no, this is not the world for me. And when I started changing my job and my profession and domain, I felt some inclination towards social development. And when tried I attempted to get a job over there, I didn't have any academic background, no qualification, nothing of that sort. So they found a small role for me, which was in the communications field. And I was pretty happy about it because communications is almost, most of it is writing.
Correct.
So I was like, great, okay, let's start. And that is how I spent almost like 10 years working as a communications professional with various NGOs, various corporates in their CSR division. And in 2019, I thought that maybe this is a time when I have to take my writing to the next level. I have to write more because as a communications professional, I was doing a lot of other jobs as well. So it was a lot of managerial job. So, where you have to coordinate with departments, you have to see what is happening on the field, you have to prepare reports, you have to meet deadlines. Of course, as a writer also, you have to meet deadlines. But then I thought that I'm getting very little time for writing. And I am not able to take it to my next level. I'm not able to learn the new skills in this process. So I just thought that maybe I can use my experience as a communications professional and also combine it with writing so that I can help clients, take their business to the next level. If they want some documentation, things like that to be done, I can help them out. So in 2019, I started working as a full-time freelance writer and content strategist.
Wonderful. That sounds like a very fascinating journey. Maybe I want to understand is my voice echoing or something?
Yeah, but I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So my question was, when a client approaches you with a subject about which you have very limited understanding, let's say practically no understanding, where do you begin? How do you begin for that?
So first of all, Mayank, I have defined my niche very well. So it's related to CSR, social development, parenting and motherhood, which comes naturally to me. I am also a big fan of well-being, and I am also in my college days, I had been a nutrition, I had studied nutrition and all that stuff. And I am also a teacher, a certified teacher. So I have kept my niche around it. But in case a client approaches me, where they want to get some work done, which is totally out of my knowledge area, and I've never been exposed to it. In that case, I have a process. In fact, I have a process for every client, but in such cases, I have a very well-defined process, where as a first step, I do a thorough research as the, by gathering information from the client. So as much as clients might not like it, I ask a lot of questions.
Oh, questions.
Because yeah, because in the beginning itself, I think it is very important to get the understanding right of what their business is, who their clients are, what are they trying to convey, I think most of the writers, because I've been from communications field, I think most writers miss out on one important thing, which is the vision and values of the organization. So it is very important. Yeah, it is very important to understand the vision and values of that business, because that will decide on how your tone will be, and that will decide on how will you communicate with their audience. So this is something which I get very clearly, even if it takes like 3, 4 or 5 rounds of telephonic conversations, I don't mind, but I want to get it right in the first step. Then of course I do my research. I Google a lot. I read about similar reports. What are other businesses doing? What are the client's pain points? How can we set it right and all that stuff? And from there, then I start weaving. I do an outline. I share it with the client. I tell them, okay, this is how I'm progressing. So is it okay with you? Because what happens is we do a lot of hard work. We write everything, and then the client says, no, this is not something I was looking for. Correct. And this has happened to me. True. So I think it's very important to share the outline and discuss with the client that this is how I'll be going ahead. If these are like small articles and blog posts, I think it will not take much of time. But if these are like big reports or big documents or like grant proposals or something, then you definitely need to have a thorough outline and a thorough discussion with the client. Wow. So that is how we generally go ahead. And one more important point, which I would really like to mention here for the benefit of freelance writers or the newbies who are into this profession, is to get the contract right. So many a times, because we are new, we are naive, we don't understand, we have a lot of imposter syndrome and all that, we miss out on these things. But setting a right contract is very important. Getting the right clauses, deliverables, timelines, your payment terms. I think these are very important things which freelance writers should work upon right from the beginning. So that's in short.
Hurry to get a project, especially newcomers, often end up in trouble. I see that point.
Yeah.
Maybe since you have been writing mostly for the social sector and the NGO, I'm sure you will have a lot more opportunities to do a lot of storytelling. So could you tell us a bit about storytelling? For example, how do you go about it, or how do you actually unravel or dig out stories for your clients?
Right. So I think storytelling is something which is an inherent part of every writer's journey. Whether you are doing a simple report, unless and until it is like very, very business oriented report where you have to be in the mode of academic writing, sort of technical stuff. Other than that, storytelling, I think it works everywhere, and it's a hit everywhere. So for storytelling, many a times if the client agrees and if it is related to the CSR and social development sector, then I insist that I do a field visit. Because most of
Wonderful. So you get
Yeah.
information. Wow.
Right. So most of the times, because they are working with a section which is either rural or underdeveloped, and so it's not a great idea that I hear stories from staff members. It is always a great idea to hear it out from the beneficiaries directly, people who have experienced the benefits of the program. So that is something I insist upon. In case that doesn't happen because of various reasons, I insist upon having a telephonic conversation with the beneficiaries, so that if there is no language barrier and all that, because they are from very remote places where they don't speak Hindi, so, and I know only Hindi and English, so that comes as a barrier. But otherwise, I insist upon having these things. Other than that, I read a lot. I speak to people who are actually working with these people, with the beneficiaries on the ground, who are in direct touch. Because people sitting in office might have limited understanding of the kind of challenge.
Different from the one that actually is on the ground.
Right, right. And so hearing it directly either from the beneficiary or people or the person who is the first point of contact, I think that's a great thing. And then you get the essence of it, of how it has actually impacted the life. Even if it's a small impact, it doesn't really matter, because how you articulate it and how you tell that this has made a kind of, a big impact in someone's life, that is important. So if coming back to your question of storytelling, I think it's very important to understand the pain points of that entire system, what had been happening before the intervention, what were the troubles and challenges, how did the business look at it, and how did the business aim to change that situation, what were the steps taken, and then in the end, what had been the value delivered. And from there, the last point I think that in storytelling is you should just not leave it at the value delivered, but also say that the journey is ongoing. So from there, yeah, I think that is very important, because to communicate to the reader or to the audience that we don't stop here. Our vision doesn't stop here, or that beneficiaries' dream don't stop here. They are aiming for something better in future. So at that
and today, but also a bit of tomorrow. That is actually probably going to make a very well-rounded story. I can really understand this.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
So in this process, is there a particular compliment you have received from a client that's very close to your heart?
Yeah, I mean, some of the things are very generic. So, things like you write very well, and you have that, you give the right hook to the story and all that stuff. But one of the best compliments which I received, which was fortunately my first project I handled as a freelance writer, the person who is also the founding director of the organization, he said that you wrote it so well that I couldn't stop reading. So that was like, I was over the moon. I was like, all right, okay, that's very nice. Yeah. So yeah, that is something I will not forget.
Wow. You do have a blog or a website of your own, Nidhi. Tell us about it.
So I have my blog on my website, which is www.nidhipathak.com, which is my professional website. And I have just launched my website early this year. So the number of blogs are very limited right now, but I make sure between the projects, whenever I get time, I keep, feeding to that section of my website. Yeah, so on my website, there is a blog section. Other than that, I have also started writing on Medium, which is another platform. I write for women-oriented platforms. One of them is womensweb.com. The other one is momspresso.com. And I have a personal inclination to writing fiction, which is not related to my professional thing, but I keep writing fiction. So some of my stories could be read on storymirror.com.
Okay, but you have a small novel inside you, which is waiting to come out.
Yes, I can say that.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay. So I wanted to understand this, that since you have been into writing for some time, how do you make sure that you constantly improve and grow as a writer?
So I think the first step is write a lot. Forget about your fears, forget about being judged, just keep writing. As you keep writing, you will realize that, because now I look at what I had written 10 years back, and honestly, I feel like, I should just hide somewhere that I had written those things, because those were like such, I wouldn't say naive, but yeah, I mean, those were like, okay, such funny things I find today, but that was a stepping stone.
Not to interrupt you, but I think they are a very good reflection of the way we have grown. I mean, if you are still proud of what you have written 10 years back, probably you haven't grown much.
Absolutely, absolutely. Because I think it also gives you a sense of confidence that, look, where was I and where have I moved today? So it's also a sort of thing which gives you a lot of confidence, because mind you also know that, freelancing is a very lonely journey. And working as a freelance writer or a content strategist is not easy, whether you're working from home, whether you're working in a coffee shop, or whether you have just rented out a space for yourself. There are very few people who will understand your challenges. So it is very important to constantly look at how far you have come, keep journaling, talk to your close family members or your close friends, and so do whatever you can to pep yourself up, because otherwise you will lose confidence pretty easily. So that's very important. But coming back to your question of how I try to upgrade my skills, apart from writing, I try to read a lot. I listen to podcasts. That is another thing which can fabulously work. So there are great blogs and podcasts, which one of them is copyblogger.com. The other is copyhacker.com. If you want to grow your business as a freelance writer, there is an excellent podcast by Laura Pennington. There is another podcast by Ed Gandia. His podcast name is High Income Business Writing Podcast or something of that sort. So keep growing, keep learning, do whatever you can in whatever limited time you have and in your system, whatever is provided. So that is another thing. Then I think we are lucky to be living in a world of internet where things are very easily accessible. So there are a lot of free online courses.
Very good.
So one of them is on HubSpot Academy. Other platform is Coursera, which gives you access to good information. So I think these are certain things which I just keep, I keep exploring, that where can I get more, where can I learn from, how can I improve things, and yeah.
So I can see you're making a lot of efforts.
Yeah.
That's inspirational.
One more thing I want to add here, man, sorry to disturb you, but I think because freelance writing is, I think in one of another interview of yours with some other writer, you had said that this is still a very unorganized industry, writing and freelance writing. So perhaps we need to grow ourselves, and we need to have that set ourselves on a pedestal where people say that, okay, wow, I never thought that, writers could be so knowledgeable and could really work on themselves. Because if we don't value the ethics, if we don't aim to deliver the best to the clients, then the clients are not going to value us. And in general, it is going to harm everyone, not only us, but everyone in the industry.
Right. And
So
people having to respect writers as knowledgeable, a real value to business. I mean, no matter how good a writer I am, if I'm not able to contribute to the increase of profit or revenue and the number of clients, probably down the line, a year down the line, I'm not going to be of any use to the business or NGO or whatever, because ultimately I need to deliver. And yeah, your observation is very valid. I'll just come back to one of the things you mentioned. You said you read a lot. So can you quickly tell us about maybe a couple of your favorite writers and the favorite books, maybe a couple of them?
Yeah, so if you say favorite writers, well, I'm not really sure of, because like I told you, I was exposed to the literary world very late in my life.
Okay.
But there are a few books which have had a deep impact
Mhm.
on me. One of them is um, Think and Grow Rich. Though it is like, people say, okay, you just want to earn money and all that, but it is not about it. It
Correct.
is all about, I, if you have read it, and I'm sure people who have read it would realize that
About
it's
change rather than simply thinking about money.
yeah, so it is all about how you approach towards your dream and your dreams. And people, nobody has it easy, and you need to have a plan, and you need to have a systematic approach, and you need to have a strong desire to achieve something. I think that is something which is which I really like. Then another one is, I'm also a very big fan of simple lifestyle. So because I feel that in today's world, I think we are chasing things which are too artificial, which are not going to fulfill us as a human being. And there are so many simple joys that we are missing out in the process. So there is very beautiful book called Ikigai,
Ikigai
which is,
favorite of many
yeah,
writers. People who
yeah, so it is about Japanese living, yeah,
listen.
and how beautifully they have explained things like that. Like with simple things, you can just enjoy life as much as you can, and there is nothing to be upset about. So it's a very nice book. So these are two books, and other than that, I read Hindi books. I have read Premchand. I read Rumi. I have read Stephen King in the fiction section, Amish. So yeah,
Wow,
these are a few.
great. Okay, we'll quickly jump to a little set of fun questions where I'll give you a couple of options and I want you to choose one of the two. You cannot choose both.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
so
right.
what would it be? Are you ready for that?
Yes, I am.
So what would you choose, burger or parathas?
Parathas, absolutely. Sorry,
What would it be, tea or coffee?
tea,
Tea.
very much.
Are you a morning person or a late night person?
Morning, morning, morning. Always morning.
What would you prefer, reading books in the hard copy or on Kindle?
Physical format as much as possible, but I would say Kindle has brought a lot of joy in my life, because there are some very quick access to books which I would not really want to spend on, a big
Flexibility. I mean, carrying one Kindle.
right. So yeah, but physical copies are always
Wow.
my favorite.
If
It's something which I'm missing in today's world. Can't go to the bookstore and grab a copy.
correct. And if you were to be knowing both, if you were to be able to play music and dance, I do not know whether you know both or any of them. What would you prefer, playing music or dancing?
Dancing.
Great. The last set of
I'm bad with music.
okay. And the last of these questions, Dhoni or Kohli?
Dhoni or Kohli?
Yeah.
That's a difficult one, but I would go with Dhoni.
Okay. So that's my choice as well. Great.
Yeah, in fact, when you were asking about book, I think there is a great book, How to Learn and Win uh, from Dhoni, or something about that.
Okay.
How to learn and win, something of that sort.
I've not heard of that.
About Dhoni's life and how he has systematically put certain processes in his life to stand out as a winner. It's an excellent book. It's an excellent book.
Wow, that sounds very fascinating for somebody who really admires Dhoni. Great. Okay, two last questions before we can need to end this. One is, how would you describe yourself in 5 words? No more, no less. Just 5 adjectives or 5 words.
5 words. Wow. Oh my God. um, I'm a simple girl who is learning to smile every day.
Great, great. That packs a lot of things. Okay, and this is the last Do you have a favorite quotation that would really want to live by? A favorite quote for somebody or whatever source?
Yeah, in fact, I have two,
Okay.
and which are excellent. So one is, I think, from Henry Ford, which is like, which goes like, whether you think you can or whether you think you can't,
Generally,
you're always. So that's, I think, an excellent one. Another is, I think it is from Charlie Chaplin, because I don't go too sure about the sources today on Google, which is, if you always look down, you will never be able to see rainbows. So that's an excellent one. So don't look down, always aim high and always look forward. And there is always something that will be welcoming and that will make your life better.
wonderful. There is a similar quotation from Nidhi, this has been you and learning everything about you. And thank you so much for your time. And I'm sure we'll all want to look forward to that small novel that's waiting to come out of you.
Thank you so much, man. Thank you for this great opportunity. It had been great interacting with you, and I'm sure we will have more opportunities to interact in future too.
So much. It's been fun as well. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Bye.